Welcome to the Boston Art Podcast,
Boston's premier art podcast,
where we talk art, culture, and philosophy.
I'm Brian Huntress.
And I'm Theodora Earthworms.
Here is the show.
Awesome, thank you so much. Nice.
Lit. All right, and I could take that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Do you want to pour down here a little bit just so the street sounds aren't as loud?
Okie doke. Okay.
I just want to give something to smell.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah, perfect.
Before you go, I actually made this for everyone. I don't know how I'm going to give it to everyone. This is for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Y'all
Good to
take
see
care.
you, Scott.
See ya. So, what is this building? First of all, is this a space that guy is a part of, or that?
Oh no, he lived in the next building.
Oh, okay.
So when I was painting, some of the residents walk by and say hi, and then this is his favorite spot. And
Yeah.
so we chat a lot when he was here. And then
That's so nice.
yeah, he has to keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Maybe we could kind of go over here or something, and we could have a good view of the mural as well.
Yeah. I've seen pictures online. This is the first time I've seen it in person, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love the colors. So maybe we could start off with you telling us who you are and what we're doing here. I guess that'd be awesome.
You mean what?
Oh yeah, are you as an artist or what you do?
I see. Yeah. My name is Ponnapa Prakkamakul. I'm an artist and landscape architect. So I do mixed media painting, and I also collect drawing material from landscape as a pigment to do a paint. And I also do some public art and mural.
Very cool.
So what does it mean to be a landscape artist? Or is that what you said?
Landscape architect.
Architect, that's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah.
So, if you think architect take care of the building part, landscape architect will take care of the rest outside of the building. So, range from garden design to parks, waterfronts, and can be as big as a city. It's a little bit overlap with urban design and urban planning.
That's really cool.
Wow. And would murals be a kind of a part of that, or is that its own thing you do?
It's my personal thing that I do, but if you think of it as a streetscape design, so it's part of how you transform the experience of the pedestrian. I think it's part of the landscape architecture.
So could you tell us a little bit more about this piece specifically? I know there's a lot of text, and to describe it for the listener,
Yeah.
very colorful. We're in off of Oxford Street and Essex Street.
Yes, so the project started from the owner of this building, which is Oxford Property. They bought the building and would like to try to transform a space around it before they develop the building. So they reached out to ACDC, which is an organization that work in Chinatown about low-income housing and work with the community. So they reached out to me to work with their youth program to make these murals. So when I started, I looked at the history of the building, which is the old noodle factory, and I would like to maybe work bring that into the design. So with youth, we talk about the noodle that they eat at home, or that memory, that childhood memory when they have maybe family recipe or something. I feel food is something that can connect people together, even though you're not from Chinatown, but when you come, you can connect to food, and maybe some of the text can resonate with some people's memory too.
Yeah. Kind of connect your personal history with the cultural connection.
Yes, yeah.
That's really cool. So this building it's painted on was a noodle factory.
Yes, and I didn't know. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, at first I didn't know that it was kind of a landmark for local people in the past too. When I was painting, people would come like, "Hey, I know the owner of the building."
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and he was like kind of public figure that like friends with everyone. And
Yeah.
and when I was painting, some of people who lived here for a while, they said the sign that was taken off was their landmark that they feel like they arrived at Chinatown.
Oh wow, that's really neat. So how long ago was it a noodle factory?
I don't know. I think it's probably more than 5 or 10 years because
Oh, wow, okay.
Scott, when he come to live here, it wasn't a noodle factory anymore.
Oh, okay. Wow. So is it apartments now?
Right now it's empty, and I think the owner probably don't know yet what it would be. So I think he tried to see what the area would like these buildings to be. I think.
Yeah.
Through time.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So how come the owner of the building wanted to do the mural in this space? Did they talk about the reason why they wanted to have you come in, or like when they reached out to you? Was it through the Asian Community Development Corporation?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think there is some tacking activities going on in Chinatown, and this building always have a tag. So I think they would come every 2 months to put gray color on, and then taggers come and then start to build up, and then 2 months they would come
Yeah.
again. So on the first day that I come and then paint, everyone was like, no. So, like at first I thought I put primer on, which is white. Everyone was like, this is going to attract everyone.
They're gonna cover it.
Yeah, yeah. But once they start to see me put color on one by one color, they were like, "Oh, it's going to work."
Yeah.
And I was just talked to Scott earlier about how he said like, "Oh, like I think when you arrive, he was mentioned like, oh, the space actually start to change."
That's cool.
Yeah, because to describe what we're looking at here as well, like this is like a fucking massive mural. Like it's really like this is probably how much like space would you? It's like this is like the whole like it's probably like what is like 12 or 15 feet.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We've had a lot of people coming down to look at the mural. How's it going? Have you got a lot of comments?
I haven't come back too often, but
Right.
I hope everyone is happy.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. She took her so long to do this. I live right there, so me and some of my neighbors were out here, offering encouragement and
That's
help.
awesome.
Have you seen James?
Not yet. I just saw Scott.
Who?
Scott.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, have a good day.
Thank you too.
So this is what you were talking about with possibly interviewing locals as well. So because there's been so many people stopping to talk to us and to talk to you. Have you become like almost like a character in this neighborhood as well, or almost like a little bit of celebrity?
I'm not sure, but I become friends with them during these 3 weeks. So earlier you asked how long is it? This is like 150 feet, I think.
Oh, wow.
Including
Massive.
and then it's 15 feet high.
Yeah, and it's like almost two sides. It's like a whole corner.
Yes. Yeah. So I spend maybe 8 to 10 hours a day, every day. So when they come and go, they're like see me in the same costume. So when I first saw Scott today, he doesn't recognize me because I wasn't covered in paint. I was like, who is this person? She doesn't have any paint.
So did you do this with a team, or was it all you?
At first, we plan to have some like volunteer come
Yeah.
from ACDC, but with some sidewalk situation, it is a little difficult to work. So I end up working by myself. And one of the residents in the building helped me with the top part.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is really helpful. Yeah, he has. We have like our extended
Oh, like rollers?
roller, and then he like.
That's really impressive. That's crazy.
Oh, and then another person, Judy Wang, who is from, I think, Boston, like Chinese calligraphy Association of Boston. She helped do the beautiful calligraphy, the red one in the circle. That was like really pretty, and then I print a stencil so that to make sure that I got like her handwriting.
Yeah.
And then all these Chinese texts and English texts from my colleague, who is also a landscape architect, come in and help paint.
Could you talk a little bit about the text and what that means in context of the piece?
Yeah. So from the text, it's from the workshop with youth. So in the workshop, we do sketching, and the sketching part would go into the design, and then we talk about like the memory of the noodles with each youth, and that's quote from the workshop. Like some kids talk about like their they have like a birthday noodle that they need to eat every year, and then need to have like a specific things in there. And then she said it would have 2 boiled eggs, but if she's supposed to finish it, but if she's like really in a hurry, like needs to go to school, she can eat the head, the 2 tips of the egg, and then that's called done or something. There's like a lot of culture going on in these things, and there are like New Year noodle and wedding noodle.
Yeah.
So that's on the wall, and then there's like some family recipe where they talk about like the things that their parents made when they were young. There's one that I really like. I think it's in Chinese. One of the kids is like Vietnamese Cantonese, and his family. So people from Hong Kong usually have this dish like which made of instant noodle. They would put like sausage and fried chicken in there. But I think because he's like also Vietnamese, so they put like Vietnamese sausage in there, and then it's like their special recipe that he loves to eat.
That's really cool.
I'm wondering if we could go around the corner or something, like maybe. Yeah. Do you think that like the noise, I wonder if it's like too
loud?
Do you think it would be quieter if we were like, is it this street? I hate to throw off the vibe. Or
I'm okay with anything, but the noise is pretty loud.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right with the interesting.
Maybe we could pause it and just check the audio to make sure we picked up.
Oh, okay.
So
All right. Quick break.
Another person come, and then there is the wind blowing all the time.
Yeah.
So have you done a lot of talking and press that? Okay, yeah. Just two. That's
just two that needs the voice.
And I'm curious too about the AC/DC, because we actually talked to them. We didn't get to actually do any like a real episode with them, but we discussed. They reached out to us to potentially do something like this about what their program is. I guess I'm curious, how did you get involved with them, and like what do they do? More specifically, I guess.
So they have this program called Residence Lab. I joined that program in 2019, which is their first year, like a pilot year, where they invite artists to pair up with 2 Chinatown residents and work as a team together to create like temporary installation during summer.
Oh wow!
So in 2019 there were 4 artists and 3 teams, and I worked with 2 residents who like now become friends, and we would go to interview other Chinatown residents to find like what they would like to see in Chinatown, and then work with kids from like school in Chinatown, and also I went to Shin Park to like test like the mock-up of our design, so that was pretty fun. So that's how I know AC/DC, and they have been developed that program and expand more once they know more artists. They like, okay, let's do this and that.
That's really cool. So is the community in Chinatown pretty strong? It seems like people, I don't think we've had an interview yet where people have come up and like recognize the artists while we were talking to them and like just been really invested in the work like this. It seems like there's a kind of a strong community and people tend to know each other.
Yeah, at first I thought they have a strong community, and then when I came here I was like, oh my god, this is like everyone really, they said everyone grew up with each other too. Wow. So that when they work together it's kind of like easier and that's grow.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I feel it's more like a village.
Yeah.
Like that, or neighborhood in the middle of the city where you kind of think people might not
Yeah.
know each other much.
Like it might be a little more anonymous, even like you were just in some random place with random people.
Even other places in Boston, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like definitely seems pretty tight knit.
That's cool.
The things right now is that there's a lot of new building coming in Chinatown.
Like new
and
developments and shit.
Yeah, and a lot of new residents come, and I think these art program kind of merge connect like the new residents to the old resident.
Yeah.
I think starting because some of the old residents they don't really speak English, and with the art program you don't really need to speak much, or you kind of have a reason to communicate.
Yeah.
Like when you go to interview or something. Yeah. So that's kind of something that good to see happening more in the future.
That's awesome.
Could you tell us about your process with the mural? Like, did this start off as a drawing, or like did you have to make any kind of proposal with the design, or was this like a proof? Like, I guess like step one, they say, okay, could you do this mural? You're locked in to go. Like, what's your first move? Like with something of this magnitude.
I come to measure it first.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Like,
but-
are you like taking into account like windows and like these weird things sticking off the side of it?
Yeah, at first I thought I would like make the design that respond to that so that it kind of go together, but it's just a little random. That's too difficult.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll just paint everything. And then I did a hand sketch first, and with youth we have several rounds, so I show them the sketch and then ask them how they feel, and some of the comments like, oh, can you add more depth into it, and then I was like, oh yeah, maybe we figure out like the technique to do depth like really fast, but when I came here with the heights it's a little difficult, so we didn't really do that.
Cool.
Hi, how's it going?
So and then I show the design to the owner of the building, and they're like, oh, like if this is from youth, like they're like very supportive about that. And then I went to community meetings just to tell people that if you see me put paint on the wall, don't
Like call the
misunderstood.
police.
Yeah. Because on the first day there was people coming and asked me like why I'm doing this, and they asked like in a painful way like why you do this. I will tell my sister she lives in the next building.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, no, but
It's not graffiti.
so after a while they understand, and then it's like people sometimes they bring like coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, and
They're
like
really
visit with
nice.
you and talk.
Yeah.
Did you get the feeling that a lot of the local people that live here and have been here a long time don't like graffiti, or they don't like it when people come up and draw and like, spray paint on the building and shit?
Yeah, I think there is some like perception about that I think if there is, I don't know, to me I feel it's like one of kind of expression
Yeah.
similar to what Scott mentioned. It's like part of the city, and but sometimes when it go to someone else like store, they might not like that.
Yeah.
So that is something that I've noticed about Chinatown, or that people have said before that make art in the city or that do graffiti, is that here I feel like it doesn't get washed off as quickly as other places in Boston, and that there's a lot more of it, which is kind of beautiful in some ways, but I can also see being a resident it might be a little bit overwhelming, that there's probably not a lot of control over it. So
I'm
that
also
makes sense.
curious as to how many people are doing that live here,
That's a
or
good
if they're
question,
people
too.
just coming in off the train or something and just want to somewhere to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. Is this your first mural, or do you have a portfolio of other murals?
This is my first outdoor mural.
That's so
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah, I was really excited. Even though it was like very challenging, like the size and the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did an interior mural before.
Nice.
Did you find it like literally like physically enduring, like you were like in pain doing it like at the end of the day?
Yeah, I wish I'm a man. Like I was like carrying a ladder, and I was like at one point like I feel that my arms couldn't. It was like the blood didn't flow because it's so heavy, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah. But,
Wow.
It must have been so much labor. Like looking at this, knowing it was almost entirely just you. It's so impressive because I feel like when you see things like this, you assume it was like a team of people or that you had a crew or something. But this is like one giant piece.
Yeah, it's beautiful too. And
Yeah.
is this house paint, like outdoor paint?
no, this is artist acrylic paint.
Oh,
the
wow.
one that they usually use for like murals and things outdoor.
Wow.
I've seen that kind of stuff marketed at some art stores and stuff, like mural paint. I've never thought to use it or stuff. Because I always thought people use house paint for murals because for budgeting reasons, but it makes sense that you would use like real
Real mural
acrylic
paint.
Yeah.
I always use house paint until this one.
Yeah.
Really?
So usually I thought other people use house paint too. This one, and I asked my friend who is a professional muralist, and he said, "Oh, you should order it from here because the sun wouldn't do much." And then
Like the pigment
Yes.
isn't as like light fast. Is that
yes,
the word?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then it would blend better than the house paint
Yeah.
because the house you usually do one color and you don't blend them.
That makes sense. I was going to say, there is a really nice gradient going up in the blues in the background. That would be really hard to achieve with anything else, probably.
Yeah, it's beautiful brushwork. And how does the dragon kind of figure, is that what that is at the other end, kind of like, because it almost looks like it's fusing into like with the noodle
noodles?
imagery.
Yes, yeah. There is some story behind this that is like I want people to so the front would be more of a representation of like the old store, so it has like the logo. If you turn the corner, there was a lady that's from the Hot Toy Noodle Factory logo.
Oh, wow.
And then turn into like how the store kind of almost from store to table, like become these dishes, and then these dishes become those memory, and then when you walk towards the end, you found out that like all this thing was made by a dragon, which represent Jeff Wong, who is the old owner of this building.
The dragon represents him?
Yeah,
The owner?
because I tried to reach him when I do the design, but because they moved long time ago, so I talked to people who know him.
Yeah.
So people who know him said that he is a very generous person, and then he usually send money home, and then when he go home, everyone treat him like a king.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, maybe that's a representation.
Like a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And it's neat because the title of the piece, for anybody who's not here with us right now, is Where We Belong, and it's in text in the front.
Okay.
It's funny when you're saying that it was almost like to prevent things like tagging, or for people that maybe aren't from this borough coming in and doing that against maybe what the citizens want or what the people who live here want. But it's almost reclaiming the space and putting the culture back into the space. That's really neat.
Yeah, I was thinking about the title for a long time and couldn't come up with any until I come to paint.
Yeah.
And then see people and everyone walking around, and I was like, oh, it has to be this name.
That's awesome. So how did they connect the ACDC with it says A Voice Youth? That was the kids from the workshop?
Yes.
Am I saying that right? A Voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Voice.
Perfect. So how did they select those kids? Like, who were they?
I think it's almost like a after school program where like junior high school kids come and then do learn about Chinatown and how they can contribute to the community. So they have different groups. This one called Tier 2, where I think they have Tier 1 is like the first introduction, and then Tier 2 where you kind of start to develop like a exercise project, and then they go into interns where you work with different groups. So some work with the Rose Kennedy Greenway to do some activities, and they have like starter play program with the Rose Kennedy Greenway.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they did a lot of things.
Wow. That's awesome. That must have been really neat to work with those kids too, to kind of tap into their stories and tying them into the actual neighborhood.
So to talk about, I guess you as an artist as well, like, have you, what did, I don't know, maybe to go into your backstory a little bit, because how did you get started making art? Did you make art when you were a kid?
Yeah, so my mother is a painter, so
Oh, wow.
I always do art, but never thought to become an artist. I did like art mentor for kids, or like studio assistant for artists with mentally challenged. So I feel excited to see art being made by
Yeah.
other people, and then like I feel that's kind of very inspiring. But also did some small artwork by myself, but didn't really make it serious until I come here. That I feel that is something that like how do you say, like therapeutic things, like something that remind me of a good time at home doing with my mother,
Like
or
nostalgic?
yeah, something like that. And I just put things in my room, and there was one time my friends in Thailand come to visit me, and they're like, oh, maybe you can start send these to the gallery, and
Yeah.
that's how
A gallery in
everything
Thailand?
in here.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
They come to visit.
Right. So
That's awesome.
when did you come here? Did you come here for school?
Yeah, I came here for school in 2009.
Wow.
Nice.
And where did you study?
I study in Rhode Island, but that's for landscape architecture.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay, gotcha.
Was
Cool.
it Rick or RISD?
RISD.
RISD?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Nice.
It was very fun. It was very different from school in Thailand.
Wow. I
So
believe.
did you move to Boston after school?
Yes, yeah.
Very nice.
And what brought you here? Was it just an attractive city, or?
I think it's work. At
Yeah.
first, I went to the West Coast first because I complained so much about the cold, and my friend was like, "Just go to the West Coast." So I went to it's called it was like an architecture camp in the desert.
Oh.
It's called CalArt, so California Institute of Earth Art and Architecture, where people like learn how to build house with sandbags.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I did my thesis about like a flooding issue in Thailand, and then working with like how to operate like sandbags, to like how community can do this by themselves to prevent like flooding,
Yeah.
protect their house.
So does landscape architecture overlap a lot with like environmental studies?
Yes, so you have to know, like you integrate that into the design. So it's not only the design, but it
Gotcha.
needs to function, like ecologically supported. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
really
it's-
interesting.
Right, like you wouldn't want the landscape or outside area of a building to fuck up or disrupt
Yeah.
the environments around it. So it's a way of designing it and making aesthetically pleasing while supporting the environment or the community around it.
Yeah, so like you have to look at how the water goes, and if that design can capture water and then where it goes, or when you plant tree, you have to think about like whether it would cause any problem. Is it like invasive tree? Like look at the species, and how if you select the species that is like support each other, you don't need to maintenance much. Then it
Oh, okay.
means like
You don't need to
little
what?
maintenance, like
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So it's like would grow naturally
Yeah.
by itself. Yeah.
Interesting, because we've talked about there's a place. Speaking of like landscape architecture and stuff, are you familiar with like Mount Auburn Cemetery?
Yes, I'm
And-
actually there. Like I don't know what they call it, like artist residence this year.
Oh, no way.
You're doing a residency at Mount Auburn Cemetery.
So they usually have one artist each year, but because of COVID, they changed the grant into like 5 artists.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so they divided the grant into smaller portions so that you have smaller projects to work on. So I'm working.
What are you working on there?
That's so funny.
So I'm proposing to draw like, so my project is about change.
Yeah.
And the change through like represent that through season, and then the color of the sky. So maybe doing like the sky color, or because if you go to Mount Auburn, you can see Boston skyline.
Yeah.
And how their vegetation changed, and then during different season, and then the color of the sky, and then also will collect some of the soil there to make paintings.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
didn't you mention something about making art out of natural substances? Could you tell us a little, how does that work? Are you making pigments or paints out of natural resources?
So it depends on the site. So some of the site I just use like soil and then put it there. So if you notice, soil from different area would have different color according to their like elements. Like on the some of the area would have like red soil, and then that kind of give different feelings. So when you see that landscape, it connects. I feel it connects better to have its own color.
Yeah.
So like using the soil from the landscape to make the image of itself.
So are you like mixing it with some kind of binder or like a medium or something?
I use it on paper, so not necessary.
It's like
use
the
binder.
soil is like staining
Yeah.
the paper in a way.
That's so
And
cool.
then I explore like the site that doesn't have landscape too, so I collect found object that is metal, and then I make rust from that. So that's the part where kind of become more like a pigment. So I would put it in different solution, and then that would reflect on different color of rust. So you have like yellow shades to
Right.
brown, like yellow, orange, red, brown, and then black.
That's so interesting. That's really cool.
So it's kind of like similar to landscape or trees. I feel that for different environment, it turned out to be like a little different things how it grows. It's respond to the
And so with the residency, I'm on sorry, we're having like so much. There's like a parallel parking person and some pedestrians and stuff, and this is a very very ambient interview happening right now, which I really like. I think it's going to sound wonderful and this horn going on in the background, but so I think all of us are just like looking around, making sure we're not going to get like hit by a car or something. But I'm curious about the Mount Auburn residency. So are you working there? Is there a space at Mount Auburn where like what does it look like? Are you going there to work?
I go in that, so it's more like in plein air painting.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, that's so cool.
So they told me like, oh, you're welcome to like come paint there, and yeah. So the strategy would be like do more of a small painting, and that can maybe display into a larger painting.
Oh, very nice. So are they going to be displaying the pieces at Mount Auburn?
We are working on that because because of COVID, at first they wasn't sure if they can provide a gallery space, but seems like they can. But we'll see. It's like a year program, so
So some of the logistics are still being hammered
Whatever
out.
happens.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I told them that I would do like monthly, so you can see change.
Oh, that's so
through the
exciting.
year.
Wow.
Yeah, because we love Mount Auburn Cemetery. We go there often and just drive around or walk around and look through all the graves and the different architecture and plants, and it's just such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I was just thinking too, because we have heard that like there are like arborists that work there, or different people that have to tend to the plants, and there's so many different like species of trees and plants and stuff. Like, so would that be something that a landscape architect would be minding or maintaining? Is that?
Yeah, so when I was in school, we also study about this place. I took a class called The Dead, where we explore like ritual in the past, and whether this is for the living or the dead, like those funeral. And then we come to see Mount Auburn as a case study of like, it was very, very new thing during that time, because normally cemetery is like functioning as cemetery, and then this is the first one that is like, is a park.
Yeah.
And the way that they run like a system of graves are also different, because before it was like document, like you have rows and grids so that you can find, but this one is like almost like a village that you like go and wander in, and then almost like different cluster going on. Yeah.
I'm interested. It's so interesting to learn that wandering kind of labyrinth-like experience at the graveyard is a newer type of design, because I always imagined that the ones that were very winding and hill-like were older. But that's kind of interesting. That makes more sense that maybe the ones that are very stark and uniform and grid-like would be kind of, I don't know.
Like a functional.
That sounds very American 1800s. You know what I mean? But for a graveyard, or for a cemetery to be so almost like opulent and beautiful and an aesthetic experience, that I didn't realize that was like a newer way to design a cemetery.
I think you are right, but this one is like they make it intentionally.
Yeah.
That it's like people would come here to enjoy it. I think in the past they do that like originally because it's not planned, so it's like, who come first, go here and there.
Oh.
But you didn't think about the like how you turn the corner and see the heels and then
Right.
So it was designed to be a walking experience, really. Oh, that's so interesting to think about.
And intentionally representing how they used to be. Because it's almost like they started off meandering, then they corrected it and made it grid-like, and then they said that actually was a really nice experience to make it very beautiful. And because there are some like really old ones that I've been to, like one is there's this cemetery called Sleepy Hollow, New York cemetery that is like that. It's very winding and weird, but it's not well maintained, and a lot of the ground isn't like level, and there's some areas that are like collapsing into different monuments and shit, and it's like totally like some of the monuments look dangerous.
Yeah.
Like the way some of the cement is collapsing beneath it and shit like that. But anyway, it's
That's
like
so
a random
interesting.
tangent.
Yeah, if you think of landscape architecture, normally people would think of it as like more of aesthetic thing, but it's very much functioning too, because like for a cemetery there is like system of circulation that for the one who maintain it, that when you design you need to think about, and then where is the service, and then how the water would drain, because like when you bury people, like sometimes like, it's like the soil kind of like not stable, and then how deep you can go. So these kind of thing, it's like a technical part that would need to consider
Yeah.
in landscape architecture. Yeah.
That's fascinating. That makes honestly so much more sense, thinking about Mount Auburn as a functional space, because it has a purpose as a cemetery, but it also is a place where living people go all the time. Versus a lot of other cemeteries, you'll go because you have family members that are buried there. People that have no connection to Mount Auburn in terms of relation go there every day. So that's really interesting to think about that double function, I guess.
And I like how, like, even though you don't have any relationship with the people who buried there, but like just walking could give you a reflection of about like just thinking, almost like a Zen garden.
Yeah.
To me, it's like give
Tranquility.
some thoughts and yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So tell us a little bit about some other projects that you've worked on then, because I don't know anything about landscape architecture. This is the first time I've discussed it with somebody who is actually professional in that field.
This is so funny that we didn't have any idea. I didn't know that you did that, but we've discussed this so many times without always thinking like, man, it'd be so cool to talk to somebody who knew a lot about that or something like. But we just didn't. I didn't even know that was like a title that you could have.
Yeah. Sorry, what is the question? I
Oh,
guess
I was
just
yeah,
in general,
probably
what is
no
the-
question.
Yeah, I was just like wondering, like, what are there other projects that you've worked on that have been
about
in that
landscape
vein?
architecture.
Yeah.
So I worked on mostly it's called master planning, which is like very big scale project, and work in a team with like urban designer who think about building blocks and urban planner who think about like all these like road system, transportation system. So for landscape architect in these master planning project would be like think about green open space.
Yeah.
Like if you design it to be like disconnected, it would be difficult for it's kind of like enhancing the experience. It's how like Boston has these emerald necklace where you can bike from place to place.
Yeah.
So if you plan it well, the city kind of like support like a lot of recreational and also in terms of like wildlife corridor. How like if birds in one park doesn't have enough food, they can go to the other park, or a squirrel can go to the other park, like without crossing the road or something. So these system will be done by landscape architect in these fields. So one of the project that I like is called Denver International Airport. So Denver Airport has a lot of land that wasn't like only airport. They rent out to agriculture for agriculture, and they would like to do some of the development, like maybe generate revenues, maybe for people who needs to go to the they just want to think about the airport in a different ways, like, hey, let's go watch movie at the airport, or hey, let's go to that beer garden, not just like traveling. So we did a design for that, and then for landscape, because the area was really big, so me and the team kind of think about like, when you arrive Denver, you don't really feel like you arrive when you are above the air, but not like landing would be another experience. But I feel like since the air, you're like, oh, we are in Denver, so how can you bring that to people? So we were proposing like, instead of leasing out like square block to farmers, how about if they lease out like a strip or something that's this like create a pattern. So each farmer would like how when they grow crops, like they grow different crops, and then when they harvest, that would create like a palette of color, like when you see from the sky.
Right.
That's
like
so
intentionally rent to like, oh, we're looking for somebody here with like a red crop.
Yeah, but we also look at the list of like local crops that they grow, and then to see like, oh, this is summer palette, and then this is like winter palette. It would look like this, and then maybe like create like more like a band where it's like rather than like a grid light, so that when you harvest it, you have like these different colors.
That's funny. I've like looked out on like looking at like plane windows and stuff. Like it always looks like almost like a quilt to me.
Yeah.
Over like the rural areas and stuff with different crops and farms and shit. Kind of funny. I like, it's like wild to think that there are people out there like actually thinking about the aesthetics of that and taking meaningful steps towards making it aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of shit that you just don't even think about.
That's awesome.
Because like a mural makes sense. Like let's make this area more beautiful and put up this like very colorful, beautiful, vibrant thing that reflects the interests of the people in the area. Like that makes sense. But designing like a fucking like 100-mile like radius like crop aesthetics.
Like the macro view. And also too, when you were saying that planning something like that, you like city planning, you take into account like the animals that live in the area too, and like bird migration and feeding and stuff. It's such a more macro lens, and I feel like a lot of art projects have, like thinking about the community and everything that's in the community, not just the people.
Yeah, I think the ability to think about like large scale and then small scale at the same time, like, oh, if these work in a large scale, would it work in a small scale? That's something we are practicing.
Do you feel like your experience like because that sounds like a pretty rare or like a really unique way to look at art making, is like thinking about something from like a bird's eye perspective while you're creating it.
Yeah.
Well, like I feel like there's a lot of people really tunnel vision into specific aspects of a project, and they're just thinking about it step by step. But like with a mural, like something like this, like you like this was you had this probably completely rendered before you even came here. You know what I mean? So that skill set of being able to just actually fully develop and envision something is really interesting. Do you feel like do you think you got that from landscape architecture, and does it relate to like if you were just sitting down at an easel with a canvas, like are you thinking about it in that kind of bird's eye?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think this is something that I learned like probably unconsciously from the design field, and I think I didn't realize until like one of my artist friends came to my exhibition, and she said like, have you ever do things like intuitively, like like without thinking of anything, like without logic? But I was like, still working on that. Yeah. I think it's like the one who come with straight paint without anything and then start to like
I
crank
think
things out. So I think that's also very cool.
Yeah.
there is something to that though, where like there's like a lot of like there's this quote. I've probably said this on the podcast before, but there's this quote that like a lot of modernists and like 20th century artists would say, where they would say, I am making an intellectual decision to paint emotionally. So they were like very intellectual abstracts. But right now, there are a lot of artists that see that differently, reversed, where they're making an emotional decision to paint very intellectually. Because if you look at this mural, like it's very beautiful and it's well executed, but it's also very illustrative and free and colorful and vibrant. You know what I mean? Like this isn't, I don't know. Like, well, I guess what I'm saying is that like you could mistake this for something that somebody just came up and painted freely. Like this looks free and it's breathing and it's beautiful. But the fact that you planned it and rendered it, you know what I mean? Sorry, there's literally a separate media project happening right next to us. Somebody else doing the same thing. But yeah, I guess maybe I'm just complimenting you and saying that like this is like, I think that you're achieving that. Like I don't know, if you told me that you just came here and cranked this out like without any planning, you know what I mean?
Oh, I actually brought this to show you. So as we talk about that, so this is the original design, and when I came to see the wall, I found out that it's impossible. I think I have the one with color.
I love getting a little window into somebody else's notebook and seeing how they curate what they do.
Welcome to see. So this is the one that I rendered, but when I came, I was like, oh, I can't reach these part, and then
gotcha.
I can't make like much detail. So when I start doing, I thought I would do a grid, but my friend who is professional muralist said if I were to do a grid for this one, it would take me 2 weeks for 2 people, and I have one person. So I was like, okay, I'll freehand.
Yeah.
So this one is the freehand version of this one.
That looks beautiful also, and I really love how it translated into the actual piece. So in terms of like your supplies and stuff, like is that a digital rendering, by the way?
This one is a hand drawing. I scanned it and then put color in Photoshop.
Oh, gotcha. So how long did it take to finish then? If it was going to be 2 weeks in the original draft, did this take the same amount of time?
This one is 3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay.
Yeah, but
wow.
My friend said 2 weeks just to do the grid.
Oh, wow,
and
okay.
I was like, oh my god,
Right.
If I were to do a grid, I would run out of time.
It would take like a month and a half. Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
This is like I really admire you even taking this on. Like I probably would have turned this down. I would have been like, I don't think I can.
So on my second day, I was in that state. So the
Really?
first day I was like priming,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't move. I came here the second day. My friend come to see if I need anything, and he looked at the site. He was like, do you want me to drive you home?
Oh.
Were you just here with rollers, like priming this 100? You said 150 feet and 15 feet high building.
Yeah, I think I like underestimated
The actual physical labor, because that's like not a small feat. That would have taken like a small crew of painters like a few hours to
At the
paint
very
this.
least, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
and
to prime it.
it's not flat wall either. Like there's a lot of texture and brick and boards and pipes and shit. Like,
Are you the artist?
Yes, I am.
You must work with Marcy's oldest daughter, Joanna. So you work at Sasaki, is that right?
Oh yes, I work as a Saki.
Okay.
Hello.
My sister's Joanna Chow.
Oh.
So she's in communications. So
Oh, yeah.
she told us we're taking some photos for a magazine. So she said that we should add your name to it
Oh,
to make
yeah.
sure that you're credited
Thank
because
you.
it's really great work.
Oh yeah, if you want to take photo, come on the weekday so that there is no cars. Today is the parking day.
Photography from Brooklyn. They're doing an article for Milton Academy.
Oh,
are they doing an article on the mural?
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's really good for you.
Not just the murals, it's really
Oh,
about Asian
American hate,
some
that
of the
kind of,
things that people do.
wow. And what we're recording something right now. It's okay that we're talking, but I just wanted to let you guys know so you didn't.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but is it for what magazine is it for? Is it for a website or?
Milton magazine, which is just a high school that I went to. So like
Oh,
a
awesome.
publication, but it'll be a cover, I think. So I'll have to give it to you.
That's so exciting.
What a wonderful surprise.
Doing great work.
Yeah, I think I remember when you came to the office to speak. Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
for
that
Martin
was.
Luther King's Day.
Yes, yeah, that was a
some
few
years
years
ago.
Oh, there's one thing. Thank you. Very nice to meet you. So there is one thing about the office is that this is like a coincidence. So they will move to here.
Who is moving here?
The office that I'm working
Oh wow.
right now.
Oh, my- oh.
Sasaki.
Oh.
And Joanna, that her sister is also from the same office. She is in the communication team, and then is the one who worked on like publications for the office.
That's so funny. What a small world.
Yes, yeah, I didn't know. We talked about this. I talked about this with ACDC in maybe September.
Yeah.
And then in April next year, like this year, the office announced that they will move to Chinatown. So
Oh,
at
wow.
first I thought it's the next block, but when I came to the site, I noticed the building actually take the whole block. So it's
So it's literally this building right
This
here.
building.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, I shouldn't screw this up.
Oh, because all of your coworkers are gonna see it every day.
That's so cool.
Holy shit.
So when my friends know that it's so close to the office, they were super happy to help with all the text.
Oh, that's great.
And the text is like beautiful. You said that you had a friend write it for you and you created stencils?
So the one that in the Golden Bubble, she
Okay.
is a calligrapher artist, and she used to live in Chinatown, and make like very beautiful calligraphy. And then for the one that in the color, like in the rainbow part, is my colleague, who is a native speaker.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know they all like went to calligraphy school when they were young. So when they came, at first I was a little worried, but they're like, oh my god, this looks like it's printed to me, like all
Yeah.
this Chinese text. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's awesome that you got input from people that had expertise in it too, just to make sure that the detailing is perfect. It looks beautiful.
What a gorgeous thing. And what is the could you tell us what it says?
Yeah, so that actually said like your story remind me of our family tradition.
So it's a
It's the
It's a
translation.
translation. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
So I just would like people to, at first, these are the translation part of the Chinese, and maybe inspire some people to like Google the rest. So I think there is an app in an iPhone that you can take a picture and then it
Yeah.
will translate.
I think it's Google Translate that has that now. I'm not sure, but you can take a photo of the text.
Is that so? I didn't know that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
I've never tried it, but I've heard that.
I just feel that like maybe encourage people to like interact with the piece. I don't
Yeah.
know if people get it or they're like, oh, I can't read.
Right. Also, is there, this is probably kind of a random question, but in your personal art, do you have any opinions? Jesus Christ.
Very
This
normal.
motherfucker. They're saying, shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear the question. But do you have any opinions on using text in art? Because I'm very, this is something that me and Theo have discussed a lot, and whether or not, like, but I don't know. So do you have you look like you have some strong opinions about this.
Yes. I never have a text in my painting before, and
Yeah.
I just started when I worked with ACDC because I think that's something that can connect with like the essence of that this work is from Chinatown.
Yeah.
So I started to put that in. The one that I did in 2019, it's a red bench, and then when you have a text on a bench, it look a little better, like goes together. But on the wall, at first I was hesitant to put it in. And,
Right. Yeah, because something like ACDC as well, this is like a program that's promoting like arts and culture in Chinatown and creating opportunities for people. So do you feel like they, as like an institution, well, I'm not saying that as like a bad word or something, but like as like a group, wanted it to have like some kind of message or purpose, or like, I guess I'm losing my question here, but
Like a specific angle, maybe?
Yeah, like, so I guess that's like, I feel like you covered this in the beginning maybe a little bit, but like, did you feel like, did they have a lot of influence over the concept, or did they want you, this was...
Yeah, I think to me personally, I think it's like a little more accessible for the audience. If it has some text, because it's like easier interpretation, that's like straightforward.
Yeah.
But as an artist, it kind of lost the essence of. I don't know. I feel it's like.
Gotcha.
Is it still art or is it still a painting?
Yeah.
As soon as it has the text, it's become like advertisement or graphic design or something that is like. Does it still consider? Yeah.
Because there is a kind of an interesting thing happening with murals, if you think about it, where so much art in someone's sketchbook or on in their studio that they're making, there's a lot of sentiment where people are like, this isn't for anybody, this is for me, art is just about me and my soul and my vision. But that's like not really the case for a lot of muralists. Like it's for people, like it's for a community, it's for like a group. Like, is that something that you kind of that you thought about or had to grapple with at all?
I think because I come from like a landscape architecture, like a designer, so we design for other people. So like in school we were trained like, don't say I like and think you can say. Like that's what I was trained in Thailand. Like if you say I want this here,
no, don't do that.
So it's like not for you. So it's kind of with that mentality, I think, would kind of balance. But I think the painting part kind of helped me where like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
So I think this is like in between those.
Oh, it's a kind of a unified, like the intersection of your interests. And do you feel like the way people think about art in Thailand in terms of murals or even personal art is different here, or?
I think so, yeah. But I think like design world and art world are quite different. Yeah, in that case. Or maybe I don't know. I feel in the past like artists also a designer too. Like architects do furniture design, do painting, do a lot of things. But right now I think it's quite like the path kind of clear where like this is artist, this is
it's like its own offshoot.
And utilitarian and expressive.
So I don't know, but I feel that it's like a philosophical question that you kind of keep thinking about it, whether it should be merged together or should it like separate.
Yeah. That's interesting too, thinking about text in a mural and the function of making it accessible to the viewer, because I think sometimes you can forget this coming from an artistic background or being an artist, but not everybody has, like, I think there's a certain amount of training that comes into looking at an image and kind of decoding what the artist meant by that image versus just looking at it and kind of moving on. So the text almost draws the person in more and makes them think about what they're looking at if they're not coming from that kind of background or that kind of training.
But also if you think about tagging or throw up or a piece, that kind of text too, right? In a different way that it's more like a code that you might not understand, but it's like a text.
Interesting. Wow.
You said with tagging?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's like someone names that almost has a meaning to a certain people, but a certain people need some interpretation.
Yeah, like it almost comes full circle to being representational again versus being text you can just read.
Yeah.
That's cool.
An exciting thing. I think he was dancing.
Sorry, we're getting distracted.
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a visual distraction, which is okay. It's better, like it's fun when that happens. I feel like recording, it's better to just be like, and that happened. Like, because the viewer's like, why did it get silent?
Yeah. This is
Anyway.
really cool. It's neat having so many different things happen during the interview that are related to the artwork too. People coming up and saying that they think it's neat, or like this photo project that's happening at the same time.
Yeah,
That's a unique experience.
I feel like it's a bit of a window into what you probably experienced while you were making it.
That's like the beauty of street art.
Yeah. Especially in a community that is so like invested in what's going on in the community. Where I feel like there are a lot of places, even in Boston, but just in any city, where maybe somebody wouldn't come up and ask because it's not tight-knit like that. But I don't know. That's really cool. And it's cool also to talk about a borough where people have grown up in, because a lot of Boston is people that come in for college and then leave after a couple of years, and the turnover is so fast that having a lifelong community and a space in Boston is a pretty precious thing, I think. That's pretty neat.
I feel there's not much documentation happening for Chinatown, because when we there are several projects that now I involve, and then when I look into what to use as a medium for inspiration, it's a little bit difficult to get. So I think there are some organization has been working on documenting more things so that it's kind of this history doesn't lost, and then it's for the future artists.
Yeah.
That's something that we've been focused on so much recently, and wondering what our us as with this podcast, just wondering what role we're playing and documenting and because something I really love history, and I'm so interested in different things like that, and every day the more things you research, the more you notice the blank spaces and all the shit missing and stuff. And I don't know, I guess it's been kind of nice because we didn't really even think to start documenting artists particularly when we were doing this, but it's just kind of been a snowball effect of just wanting to document more and more and more people, because I don't know.
Well, because
I think it's just so sad when it's lost.
Yeah, because a term that we discovered a few days ago, actually, which is kind of what we're doing, kind of what you were talking about too with documenting Chinatown and stuff, is the idea of social history versus just recorded history, and how that gets lost because, what is the saying? History is written by the victor, or whatever.
Or it's from the perspective of leaders rather than random people. Yeah, like the average citizen or the artist or somebody who maybe isn't one of the people in power, but that culture is what makes a community rich, is those perspectives, and those are the things that tend to get lost in history. So it's crucial to interview, or not just interview, but to document that stuff. Do you think that's part of what ACDC does, the historical documentation part?
Not really. There are... sorry, I'm not quite good with names.
Oh, that's okay.
So it's Chinese Historical Society of New England.
Okay.
Working on this, and then I think ACDC and BCNC, they do more activities that can reflect to that. So I have two friends, artist friend Lilicia and Crystal B, who do a story card where they collect story from locals.
Oh,
and then
cool.
that's part of, I don't know who's ACDC or BCNC, but that contribute to the history of collecting the history of the place too, but not directly to the Chinese Historical Society of New England.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Those would be some interesting people to talk to as well. That's cool.
Yeah, I never thought about podcasts as a documentation before, and I was like, oh, that's really cool to think about this, and within 10 years, you would have these archival things, and then how these start to connect people together, or
that's the hope.
Because it's all going to be gone, even if because at this point, that sounded so morbid what I just said. But I don't know, something that I think about is just even a group of friends from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In your own life, maybe it's not they're lost or you don't talk to them or something, but it's those specific moments you shared at that time cannot be recreated.
Yeah.
It's if somebody got married 20 years later, you could not recreate the guest list to a T. It just wouldn't make sense.
I see.
I don't know. And I don't know.
Arts communities are similar.
Yeah, because the way I see it, I don't give a shit if anybody listens to this, but I just know that type of shit, and especially what these organizations are doing, or even if it's just for your own personal reasons, that it's going to be just so goddamn valuable in the future to even, I don't know. Because I don't know. I'm I just love, because that's something that happens so much, because I don't have I don't know. I guess everything that I research, every weird thing that I get interested in or research, there's always giant empty spots that can't be undone.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you can't go back and find those things. You can, historical records of architecture, who owned what building, or where someone maybe even lived. You can find that through historical record because it's like a legal thing, or businesses have those kinds of ledgers or something. But knowing who was friends with who or what they thought at a certain time is so precious. Because that can change, like people change. Even if the same friend group is around and the same artists are working together, they might not be doing the same thing they did a few years ago.
Damn.
Which...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I don't know.
I was
We
gonna
can talk
say-
about this forever.
I was going to say, to branch off of that, something that we've just fallen into kind of asking everybody we've interviewed, so I wanted to ask you, is have you felt like the pandemic has changed the way that you look at art at all?
Or community, art community specifically.
I think I'm not sure if I can see that in the art communities. But I can say for myself that
Yeah.
I noticed that my art changed. So my art used to be very place specific.
Place specific?
Yeah, and I don't, as I told you, I don't have a studio. So my strategy
Yeah.
is like I apply for a residency that provided like stipend and studio space.
Yeah.
And I would go there and use that opportunity to create a collection. So the fact that I won't be able to do that kind of like at first make me feel like, oh, like what to do, and then I start to do like a smaller portion, like small piece at home instead that can kind of, when display, you can collage into a bigger space in a gallery.
Oh, cool.
And then at first I thought like, oh, these work, and then when I put them in the gallery, I was like, holy shit, this one is placeless.
Yeah.
So I just draw the color of the sky every day since I work from home.
Oh,
That
wow.
one was 231 piece, and then
Wow.
but it really placeless. It's just just a patch of color, and then
Yeah.
Sounds like it could be a beautiful book.
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking about what to do with it further, like whether like put that in a video that start to gradually change, or but a book would be cool too, like you flip and then like
Yeah, right, there you go.
yeah.
What
awesome.
medium were you working in with the sky drawings?
Pastel.
Oh, nice.
I just had it in an exhibition at Kingston Gallery in June. So where you go into the room and then has like these almost look like a window. So because it's just the sky from my window. So every day at 6 o'clock. So I used to, the office before they moved here, they were in Watertown. So to commute to Watertown is, I need to wake up at 6. And then when we work from home, I woke up automatically at 6. And
Yeah.
I was like, what to do? So I did that every day, and it's kind of helped me like feel better about like
Quarantine.
yeah. And then realize like, in March it was really dark at 6,
Yeah.
and then further it was like, brighter and brighter, and hopefully there's like things change. And
Yeah.
that's also something that I would do for the Mount Auburn Cemetery.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That must have been such a like meditative practice, waking up that early and just going into pastels when you first are waking up. That sounds like a really nice way to kind of set the day too, just aside from pandemic and everything.
Like don't think about anything, just look at the color and then draw.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I never would have even considered that as a beautiful, beautiful concept.
For 231 days. And was it in sequence?
Yes, yeah. At first,
Jeez.
someone told me to do a year, but I stopped on the daylight saving time because like 1 hour different would make it like
Oh, yeah, it would
little-
change the-
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
Oh, that's funny. Huh.
No shit.
Wow.
So that was March 15 to October 31st.
Wow.
I could totally see why that would be difficult to exhibit. When it was in a gallery, was it all of them?
Yeah.
Every
Wow.
piece. So it was a solo show that you did at this gallery.
Yeah, the gallery has 3 galleries, so I got one of the galleries.
Wow. And where's the Kingston Gallery?
In Silva.
Oh, you know, okay. No shit. That's so cool. Huh.
Is that exhibition still up or is it down now?
It was just for June. the
Oh,
month
It was a
of
Gotcha.
past
June.
exhibition.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And it was like during these 2, like
Oh, wow.
like installation before, a week before, and then the installation during when I was painting. So I was like,
That must have been really busy.
I gotta say, you must be really happy too. Like you've got some really great track record and history of what you're doing here.
Oh,
You got
yeah,
this
that's-
beautiful mural, these residencies, a gallery show.
Yeah.
You must feel really good. Congratulations on all these great things.
Well, I think this year there are more grants for artists.
Yeah.
I feel
Oh.
because of the pandemic. Like in 2020, my solo show was canceled,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, "Oh yeah, this is really bad," and everything. Yeah, but I think this year is a good year for artists and like public art.
Yeah.
We've been trying to learn more about the kind of grant world personally, and we don't really
Yeah.
know anything. Are you doing this like through, what is it, the Massachusetts Cultural Council or anything like that? Or are you just
So-
researching on Google or?
Oh, do you mean the grant for this one?
Oh no, I just mean in general. Like, are you just on your phone, just like looking through grant ideas or?
Yeah, before the pandemic, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the place actually calling you. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like for example this site and then the office move here. It's
Yeah.
kind of coincidence and
kind of serendipity
yeah.
to it.
But I do like just random Google looking for a landscape that is unique and kind of interesting to explore because my solo show that got canceled, UMass in Amherst, like their gallery, Augusta Salvage Gallery, contact me and then said like, oh, you want a solo show here, but you have to, I have to do according to that theme. They have a theme. It's called Beyond Planet Earth.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, oh, how can I go to the site outside planet Earth to draw? So that made me think about like a landscape that is like doesn't feel like Earth. So that when I applied to the Atacama Desert in Chile, which the landscape people use for like shoot a movie about Mars and like Star Trek. So
Oh, wow.
and then see
yeah.
how people there like live and then adjust to this kind of landscape, which is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So is that the body of work that came out of that project? Was what you're going to do in the Amherst Gallery?
Yeah, but that one, the exhibition moved into online. So,
Oh, gotcha.
So I did that already.
Wow. That's interesting. So do you feel like when applying for grants or through getting those prompts, like for a gallery space or something, that it is helpful to have those kinds of leads to kind of lead you into a project you might not have done before? Like, do you find them restrictive, or is it something that leads you to something positive?
Well, I think at first I was find it restrictive.
Yeah.
And then after a while, like I think all the restriction kind of will pressure you to find creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So.
Like it did during quarantine, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And since the quarantine, I didn't apply for grants because I feel like maybe there are like other artists that need the grant before, like more than me, who also have a job as a landscape architect, so I didn't apply.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Damn.
So many cool things to think about with this.
Yeah, I have no idea. This has been like we've had a streak of interviews recently that have been just so outside of our world personally.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking of that subject, that like, cause like, I don't know. I mean, I paint and I'm drawing and like shit like that. And like, I don't know,
too.
like it's really cool to be talking to like, especially someone who's working so like, so much just with the real world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In terms of landscapes and murals and shit like that, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe we talk to a lot of people who are very focused inward, you know what I mean? Into their own heads and their own ethos and their own what they do. So,
Which is also a beautiful way to go about it.
yeah,
but-
sure. And it's like, but it's like, I don't know. I guess it's maybe even a little less common these days to see people focus outward
Yeah.
or like kind of shining that artistic energy out onto their community.
I'm not sure what do you mean by inwards, because I have a collection of work that I couldn't show to other people to whether
Yeah.
it's like meaningful to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's partially, I don't know, it reflects on the politics in Thailand, but I don't know if that's still like either inwards or or
Yeah.
that's still
I would
our
think
word,
so.
or
I guess I'd see like maybe people who are experienced, like maybe making art emotionally about themselves and then whatever. But like I guess
So, like
that
personal.
yeah.
versus-
But that sounds like a really like an interest. Is there a reason that you don't show that work?
it's illegal.
Oh wow.
It's illegal and
Like kind of there are some things that you shouldn't be talking or
Like politically.
expressing. Yeah.
Oh wow.
and that's probably something that we wouldn't talk about.
And then I was like, oh, if I can't speak, I just need to say
Just say
something
it.
Yeah.
just to myself. And then
Wow.
when I make that, I was like, okay, already say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Wow,
just
that's
have
really
that tucked away. Just
For safety of everyone.
right.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
not
to
just
be shown one day.
It's like not just me, but my family also.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Right.
But I think one day should be able to show it. I think we are all waiting
Yeah.
for that day.
That's so interesting though to like be able to make that work, even if you're just keeping it to yourself, to kind of expel those feelings and like put it somewhere where you can kind of address
Just
it.
actually process them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm still working on like to see if these kind of work, whether I can make it to be shown, and then if I don't say about it, it might be okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there have been people making like movies that is like look totally strange. Do you know Apichat Pong?
Who is it?
Apichat Pong Visetakun. He's like one of the film director. He made a lot of movie about these issues, and
Yeah.
it's look totally strange to people. There's no explanation, but if you know history, it would.
Yeah.
You
It makes
know if
sense
you
with
know.
the context.
Oh, I was sorry. I was saying like something that you would watch that you would need a lot of context for.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Or the media assumes that you know.
Yes.
Already, gotcha.
So it's
Okay.
like that's kind of gaps that it's like I think art is perfect thing to express that. It's like you need some interpretation, and then
Yeah.
and then if it's like, I think the law cannot
Yeah.
do
If,
anything about it.
if it's abstract enough, it can kind of.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. That's interesting to think about abstraction as like a functional tool politically, and like how to kind of leverage that to be able to say more versus saying less, or to say more by saying less.
Yeah.
So are
Yeah.
you comfortable at all talking about the political shit going? Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah,
Understandable.
no, it makes sense. It sounds like a really complicated
I
situation,
think
but
I talked too much already. My
Okay, of
parents
course.
probably like freaks out.
oh my gosh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's one piece that I was just in the show, and then I had a talk, like a gallery talk. We assume so my parents lock in. I think they're like just to make sure.
Yeah.
Don't talk about this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ.
I want to ask more, but I feel like change the
Right,
subject.
no, it's okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, geez, wow. So the what you're looking forward to, I guess, is just more work like this and the residency at Mount Auburn and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Such an exciting thing.
Yes.
So when are you starting that residency? Is it soon?
It started already in April, so it's like kind of collection of work
Yeah.
that will be shown at the like end of April next year, I think.
Awesome. So where is Mount Auburn's gallery space? Does it already exist, or will it be?
Oh no,
something
they were
where-
talking about how they haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
Or they haven't figured it out
gotcha.
yet.
They have like a place where people can rent out in the past, but
Yeah.
cannot hang, so maybe have to put
Oh.
on like those,
Wires or
yeah,
something.
Gotcha.
like the stool or something. But I think they are, but because COVID, that space was closed. But I think
Gotcha.
they are looking for.
That's cool.
But my proposal, because it was during COVID, so I was like, oh, I'll do an online gallery, so that would be something
Yeah.
for sure.
That's really cool. So the work itself won't be site specific anyway. It'll just be. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think I have this crazy idea, which I don't know whether they would. I haven't told them yet. So, in Chinese culture, so I'm like third generation Chinese born in Thailand. So in Chinese culture, they believe that if you burn something, it will go to the next world.
Oh, wow.
Like for the death. So if you burn like one them clothes, you burn clothes, and then that's kind of how you transfer that clothes to the another world. So I was thinking like about burning my piece, and then make it into NFT. So
that's so cool.
So it's like you kind of transform, because a lot of artists like kind of burn the original, and it's kind of make these as a ritual of like, I don't know, maybe I might end up burning the whole collection.
That's really cool. That's neat to think about, like two very different ideas of permanence almost. Like sending something to the next world, but also putting it, like digitizing it.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Have you made NFTs before? Have you made NFTs before?
No, it's a little too complicated, but I have a brother who like promised me that he would help me.
That's
so,
awesome.
I don't know.
NFTs.
That's so cool. I'm excited to see how that project goes. Wow.
That's also another like philosophical question about art, right? I don't know. I feel it's kind of strange to think about that, whether that's like should be the path that we go, but it's just something I want to try.
Yeah.
You have some opinion about it, or
You're thinking hard over here.
I think that I definitely do not think that NFTs will replace anything that we already do, but I think that it will probably be a pretty consistent, like, separate industry.
Yeah.
Because what it is what I really love about the kind of NFT boom right now is how it kind of really exposes the way that we think about currency and the way we think about value as we attach it to random items, whether it's a cryptocurrency, a government sanctioned currency, or it's a piece of art that is in a sense already a currency.
Yeah.
If it is in an art market and it has been sold. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, why not something that doesn't exist? Why isn't that already a currency?
Yeah. It kind of already is.
Because the currency, our currency is in a sense an IOU.
Huh.
Already. Anyway, whatever. I have a bunch of ridiculous opinions about this. I don't support it or endorse, and I'm not anti it.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of neutral.
Observing.
It's here to stay, probably, as long as the internet is.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because people already purchase paintings for the potential investment in that artist. Like, somebody's going to become famous and their work is going to be worth more money. You want to buy in the beginning of their career, so you already have that investment for cheaper. So it already is a currency for a lot of people. Above my level. But
yeah, because that's something that, like, you know, I guess I can't speak for you, but for us, like, if somebody buys my work, it's not going to cost them thousands of dollars, and they're probably not buying it hoping that it will appreciate in value. I don't know if I said that right, but somebody an emerging artist or mid-career or a very, very valuable piece, they probably are doing that.
Yeah.
You know, but people aren't buying a Picasso to hang it in their living room because they love it so much.
maybe they are.
Maybe, but they're probably buying a Picasso because it's going to be a big fucking paycheck.
Yeah.
that's a good point. Whether like they buy it because they like appreciate art, or they like just think of it as an object that they can make money off. But at first I thought it's a good thing that people pay attention to art more rather than before. So they're like check out artists or look into like different types of art. But the thing is, like, you have these amount of things flooded so much that you're not sure if everything consider art. But what if art is art anyways?
It's a big question. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's a fun question.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting thing. I think one thing that I think is really cool that I feel like a theme that I picked up on with the things you're saying is it seems like you feel like there's a lot of support for the art and a lot of, like, it seems like this is like, do you feel like because like I can't really speak for like the, you know, with like grants and like public funding of works and different programs and stuff. Sorry, that's so loud. But what the fuck was I gonna say?
Support for the arts.
But yeah, like, it seems like you're having a really wonderful experience, or you feel like it's really picking up. Do you feel like it was different before the pandemic or in recent years?
I don't know. I think like because I just started doing this in 2016, so I think like in the beginning is probably more difficult for everyone.
Sure, yeah.
And then maybe it's to the point, and then on top of that, with more grants coming this year, that it kind of more opportunities. And I think people would like to see like physical change of place because we stuck here
Yeah.
for a while. So that's like a lot more grants for like mural, public art.
Interesting.
But the things that I feel might be good to have, which is the support for the logistic part of making art. Like when I started doing this, I was thinking like, oh, do I need to get a permit for working on the sidewalk, or do I need to, can I get a scaffolding, and then I don't have knowledge. Like I looked into the website, like City of Boston, and it's very complicated
Yeah.
for artists. And then I was like,
Yeah.
would that be something like some kind of support that make this easier for artists to
Yeah.
to make more of these?
Yeah. Like somebody to just help you understand how
Yeah.
grants work or how the permitting works.
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
get like a lift, I might be able to work on the top, and then
Gotcha.
the design can go higher, like with scaffolding too. But this one is just with ladder.
Yeah. And if you had a lift, you'd probably need a permit to block off the street or something too, right?
Yeah, and then when I was on a ladder, which is like on the sidewalk, that's like uneven, people still walking. So I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Just running right under it
Oh
or
my
around
gosh.
it, leaning on it and stepping over
yeah,
it.
and then
Jeez.
the car parking, like swing the door.
Oh.
Oh,
so,
man.
So I was thinking like, oh, like, yeah, is it okay? But I don't know.
Yeah, too. So for the listener, for context, like, you know, it looks like Essex Street is like a pretty busy street, but the corner on Oxford Street, which is where on Oxford Street is where a majority of the mural is. It's like almost an alleyway. Like this
Very
is a
narrow.
one-way street packed with cars with some pretty consistent traffic. So this seems like it was a pretty like intense place.
Yeah.
Car and pedestrian. So anyway, it's too bad we didn't pull up here. We would have found parking a lot faster.
I know.
Anyway.
Was it also like an insurance concern? Like if you spilled paint or something on a car? Like was that anything?
Yeah, there are people come and literally ask me like how long I'm going to paint on a spot, because they will park on a different spot and
Oh.
make sure that I don't move my spot to
Yeah.
the car. Yeah,
Wow.
but some doesn't mind. Yeah, but some people feel concerned. And then I spill a lot of paint, and so I paint it back to asphalt.
Oh, no way. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh, you just like painted it like black or something?
Yes, at first I want to like paint it in color, but the owner wasn't sure if the city would want to slow down.
Oh,
If it was
gotcha.
allowed to just paint the ground.
Yeah, so I was like, okay,
Just touch it up.
make it back to asphalt.
That's so funny. Huh. Wow, there's so much that went into this that you would never know as far as like the logistics when you just look at a mural. It's so funny to think about how like all encompassing that is. Like you become a part of the landscape for a little while. Wow.
Oh, and this is a temporary mural.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is this going to be covered up one day or?
I think when they decide what to do with the building,
Gotcha.
It might change.
It does tend to be that way, doesn't it? I wonder if this probably will be housing or like apartments or something. I wonder.
Yeah, I think it would be good to be a housing, but the location is pretty prime.
Yeah.
Kind of at
Sure.
the corner, and I feel like it might.
Because we're pretty close. Like we walked from like where the gate is, so we're pretty close to the entrance of.
And then it's the T is right here.
Oh, gotcha. So
Yeah.
it might be a business.
Valuable.
Yeah, but I think it would be great if they can get the first floor like to have like community program. I
Yeah.
think that's what ACDC is trying to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
we really gotta reach out to them.
Yeah.
No, it'll be who knows what.
We
comes.
actually did have somebody reach out to
Yeah,
us
I
already
was-
in the forums.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll
Follow
see.
up.
Yeah, we're taking like there's so much like we're approaching a bit of an interview hiatus
Yeah.
for ourselves where we're like we've done so many in the past few weeks, so we're just trying to anyway.
Yeah, I listened
uninteresting.
to your older podcast.
Oh, did
Oh,
you
did
really?
you? Jeez.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Have like brought variety of artists like tattoo artists and
Yeah.
painters.
We've been trying to just meet as many people as we can because we don't have any kind of team or funding or anything. It's just us. So
Yeah, we're just doing it. We are like really interested in diversity and like in any context, and especially like with the way people see art and
Yeah.
practice it. And like you're probably the first like a muralist that we've talked to.
yeah, I think that's
I think
true.
Lily would be considered maybe a and
Lily
definitely
Faye, yeah.
definitely involved in street art, but like this is like you're the first like I don't know what would you, I don't want to say real muralist because I don't feel like that might be like mean to the other people, but like I don't.
Yeah.
Because at first I never thought of myself as like street artist or
Sure, yeah.
this is my first one like outdoor and
Yeah.
but learning like by doing this I was like, oh man, like this is what street artists experience. Like
Yeah.
I really admire them.
That's awesome.
Like it's
wow.
pretty difficult some days.
How different do you think it was from doing an indoor mural?
Because indoor is like private property, so you kind
Yeah.
of like sometimes it would be something happen that I need to leave the site
Oh,
and then
gotcha.
I come back, or maybe sometimes people have opinion about it. There were people like come in and shout at me.
Oh, no.
And that, like,
Oh, you mean outside? People
Yeah.
would be like
not-
yelling
like-
shit
like,
or.
well, most people are like friendly, but there are someone who like there always some
Yeah.
opinion that
Yeah, of course.
Because anybody
Yeah.
can come up to you while you're working. You're just outside.
yeah,
That makes sense.
And also like how do you respond to their comments right away too? Because on the front I have some Chinese text that I got from the old advertisement of the noodle factory. So that one was like almost 100 years old.
Wow.
So I literally draw what it has, and then she said this doesn't make sense. It doesn't read. At first, I thought people stop by and read because it takes them a long time. So I was like, oh, like, attention. And then when she told me, I realized like, oh, they stopped because they just couldn't read this.
Oh
so
my
they were
gosh.
Like, what?
Did you figure out what about it didn't make sense?
I think the language in the past probably like very different from
Oh, gotcha.
now, and then I think how it was like almost 100 years. It's like 1930.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So she helped me rearrange it because she was really concerned, and then on my part, I feel concerned too whether I can change the history because that one was like archival.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like,
Oh.
do I have right to change this? But she was like there
Yeah.
and doesn't like she was like, no, like this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I remember what Scott said. When he like was smoking there, he would see like some parents come and then there's a telephone booth there. So they would say, tell their children like, this is a telephone. This is how people in the past like call each other. And that's when I realized, oh my God, this is like educational tools for people. So I think I end up changing according to what that lady said, and then
Yeah.
she helped me rearrange it so that when kids come, they are able to read this.
Yeah.
And it's in traditional character that not many people are able to read right now. But I think if they come and then read like kind of doesn't make sense, they might not find these interesting. But if they start to read and then make sense of it, I think as an educational tool, I think it would be good. So I end up changing.
That's so interesting. And it's really cool that somebody from the community is the reason that you started thinking about that too. Just like, that's awesome that people were so active in giving you that input.
Yeah.
That must have been so interesting.
And these are from community to the English one that in the...
Oh, in the circles?
Yeah, so they come and then talk to me about like what they think Chinatown should be in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what the odds are with the text that may not have made total sense, that the person who wrote it in the 30s got it wrong.
Interesting.
Like, I wonder if back then that person.
I have that thought too but I don't want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like in the past, not everyone kind of have a chance to go to school
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Wow.
What a
Shit.
neat thing. Such an interactive piece of artwork. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh my God. But yeah, thank you so much for talking to us. We're at
Yeah.
about like an hour and a half now. This has been really, really, really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your interest too. I never talked this much before.
Really? That's
appreciate it.
That's what we love. Like this kind of stuff is like really valuable to me because obviously without no disrespect to any other kind of publication, but when I want to consume art or information about art, I'm not really reading a little article
Yeah.
with a few quotes. I don't get a lot out of that personally.
Well,
you
you're
know?
talking about social history. Like, this is what that is.
Yeah, but like I'm sure there will be a lot of people who listen to this that are very interested in hearing us talk just for an
Yeah.
hour and
I hope so.
whatever.
Well, when I
I'm sure of
listened to
it.
your previous podcast, it was interesting.
Really?
Thank you.
Thank you.
But it's
Appreciate
really
it.
long. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like very fun. I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Jeez. Yeah, so
wow.
we're building it. So hopefully that I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe some people will hear this and contact you for another mural.
I
don't
hope
know.
so. Come check it out if you can. It's Oxford and Essex Street,
In
Chinatown.
in Chinatown. What an amazing thing.
And do you have a time frame? I know it depends on what happens with the building, but do you know roughly how long it's going to be up? Or was there a promised amount of time, or is it just whenever it sells?
I don't know.
It's a little ambiguous, yeah. No, that makes
Well,
sense.
come see it while you can.
Yeah, the ephemeral street arts in Chinatown. So it's a
So
beautiful
beautiful.
thing. Yeah, and we'll probably I think it's a pretty obvious choice. What we will use is the episode art.
Oh, yeah.
We'll use something from this. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, geez, I guess we could wrap this up. But is there anything maybe you would want to say, anyone listening, about how they could find your art, or any ways that people could support you, or?
Oh, I have other murals in the Boston area, and I think just would like to give some support to the restaurant that they have. So one is called Mahaniyom in Brookline Village. They have Thai tapas, like small dishes, Thai food.
Oh, cool.
Like very authentic and really good. You can check it out, and then there is a mural there. And then another one is called Meh Asian Eatery in Central Square.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe when we'll get online after this, and I can maybe get links to their websites or something from you, or just and
Yeah, boost 'em.
They're in the description right now.
Local
They're there.
businesses supporting the arts. Love that.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God. All right. Boston Art Podcast. Bye.